Well, let me first of all explain something. I wasn't part of the organization or planning of the protest. If anything, I was looking on skeptically from the sideline, believing that those who were engaging the system with all this 5 for 5 demand, or any sort of demand for that matter, were merely wasting their time, because I always felt that it was a waste of time protesting to a man who cannot hear what you have to say. And I'm not talking about a human being, I'm talking about a system. The Nigerian system is not designed to be responsive to the demands of those who imagine themselves to be citizens in Nigeria. So when they started the process of all these 5 for 5 and SARS, I was asking myself, how do they expect SARS to end when the system that enables SARS continues to thrive? So I wasn't particularly holding my breath, expecting that anything substantive might change as a function of the protest. But as the protest progressed and took on a life of its own, and end SARS became end impunity, it became end bad governance, it became end everything that is bad about Nigeria, and as the young people began to coalesce around each other and ignore the divisions that have always ensured that they never managed to speak with one voice, at least for years, they've been kept down, and nobody could find commonalities to their afflictions to the point where they could speak with one voice. But NSAS changed that. At the point where it began to change the narrative, I became interested, because I could see that the young people who were demanding an end to SARS had made the connection between the impunity that governs Nigeria and the SARS that they were protesting against. So whilst they might have started out protesting against the fruit, they soon began to realize that it was actually the tree that they needed to be worried about. So at that point I was interested, and Nigeria reacted exactly as it is structured and wired to react. What they did in those 2 weeks of protesting, of speaking their voices, of uniting, of showing how it should be done, and it could be done with hope. What they did was that they offered hope. They sparked a passion and belief in Nigerians that they could own their country. That was what threatened the system. And that is why the system reacted the way it reacted, murderously. And then it began to deny what it did. So, but since then, the system would want us to forget. Lies have been told at different levels to kill the story. A lot of narratives have been changed. You find men whom you would ordinarily ascribe respect coming on here to come and twist the tale. But we cannot unsee what we have seen. An Instagram live feed is not something you edit. You can't hear brush history. I interacted with those who were injured. I saw persons, survivors. I spoke with one earlier today on the program. So when people begin all these lies, it doesn't matter. The point is this: the substantive issue of citizenship, which were raised and crystallized by the NSAS protest, have not been addressed. So a year from when the protests were called, the issues have remained with us. If anything, instead of admitting to what was done so that we can heal and perhaps find a different direction in which to travel, the Nigerian state has continued to lie about exactly what it did that day. Our rulers have continued
on our
to
screens,
strut
if you
around
can
as
hear
if
me, Dele.
nothing happened. The police commission...
Dele, if you can hear me, because we have the 5 for 5 demands from those NSAS protesters on our screen, and some of them have actually been addressed, because when you look at it, they said, of course, the release of some of arrested protesters, some actions have been taken, and also justice and compensation for families of victims. We saw some of those actions actually taken in respect to that. Then the independent body to oversee prosecution of officers within 10 days. Actions were taken in that light, and of course, psychological evaluation of the disbanded officers before redeployment. Some, not all, we've seen actions, and permit me at this point to bring in maybe Renu to help us deepen this discussion, because Renu is one of the youth representatives at the panel of inquiry, and she joins us now to interrogate a few things that went on there. Now, Renu, would you say that after a year, or almost a year of sitting by this panel of inquiry, did we at least try to make a monumental move in terms of justice for people that were maimed, maligned, and probably denied justice all this while?
Thank you very much, Arash TV. I'd like to say and repeat that I left the panel back in February, so that fact is clear. Then it's funny when we talk about the 5 for 5, actually, that after a year with the threat of fresh protests, the National Economic Council issued out some recommendation, I think, a few days ago. And like Dele said, the Nigerian state is merely reactive and not proactive. If young people did not come out on the streets, these recommendations would not have been issued. I was saying on one of my speaking engagements this morning that the Nigerian state do not see the need to improve policing systems in the country. And that is a fact. You can see that because we cannot notice any improvement in the way the Nigerian policeman handles civil relations and relationships with members of the public ever since last year. It is disgraceful. And the only instrument they are afraid of is the media, which they are trying to gag right now. It's a known fact that panels set up in the country, even before the protests, including the presidential panel, I like repeating, their recommendations are yet to see the light of the day. With the Nigerian government, let us embark on the path to policing reforms, or will it, as usual, we ignore the reports, throw them under the table, and continue to profit from the humiliation of the Nigerian citizens? What am I even saying? You were just showing reports from the live protest that is currently happening all over Lagos and even Nigeria. And we could see how Nigerian citizens are being humiliated. What is the value of the life?
Reno, my question to you is this.
I'm continuing. This end-SARS protest started due to a wide-ranging reason. But the most encompassing fact is that people did not believe the government any longer. Now, some of these panels have offended, but did they succeed in restoring hope back? Or did they just reinforce the thoughts that justice did not get meted out to corrupt police officers in Nigeria? I'd like to say that one of the 5 for 5 was psychological evaluation for SARS officers in the country. And another one was the release of peaceful protesters all across Nigeria. Till now, over 1 year, peaceful protesters are still in jail all over the country. A 17-year-old teenager gave birth in prison a few months ago. She was just walking by the NSAS protest and she was arrested and put in jail. Going back to the psychological evaluation, now that I think about it, I said it earlier and I'm going to say it now, that we should not have asked for psychological evaluation for these disbanded SARS officers alone. We should have asked for psychological evaluation of many of our political leaders.